The Sony Xperia SP is proving itself to be known as one of the best mid-range phones of 2013. It looks and feels great and has an excellent camera for a mid-range device with a very powerful dual-core processor. The Moto G is Google's latest mid-range device, which also packs some very impressive specs on paper, and what's so appealing about this device is the price tag. But how does the Moto G match up against the Sony Xperia SP? Let's find out in this full comparison. The Sony Xperia SP is probably one of the best designed mid-range phones that you're going to find out there right now. It has a very nice premium look and feel to it, and it feels very nice in the hands. The back of the device itself is removable, so this does allow you to expand the storage of the device, which is always a thumbs up. But the main reason why this phone stands out so much when it comes to the design department is because of the LED strip, which is housed at the bottom of the design. The LED strip is very appealing to the eyes because it changes colors when you're skipping through your media files according to the color which stands out the most in the media which you are viewing, such as pictures or album covers of the music you may be listening to. Also configure the LED light to your notifications, such as incoming messages or incoming calls. Looking around the device, just like most of Sony devices, the SP features on-screen buttons on the front along with the front-facing camera. The right-hand side is where you find all the physical buttons. There's where you find Sony's aluminium signature power off and on button, which again does complement overall design of the phone. Below that you find the dedicated camera button, and also above the power key you find the volume rocker. The micro USB port for charging and data transfer is housed on the left hand side with the 8 megapixel camera on the back. Now in the other hand we have the Moto G. Now the Moto G has a more simple design when you compare it to the SP. It does offer that same type of matte finish design which you find on the range of Nexus devices that came out this year, so you do get more grip when the phone's actually in your hands. And even though this phone might not look as premium as the SP, it does feel that way. Now the back of the phone itself is removable, allowing you to gain access to the SIM card slot which is located at the back. Just like the Sony Xperia SP, the battery is non-removable and there is no micro SD card slot built into this phone. Looking around the phone, at the front there's no physical buttons other than the on-screen buttons. At the top of the phone itself is where you find the earpiece and the 1.3 megapixel camera, and then on the right hand side is where you find the volume rocker and the power off and on button with the 5 megapixel camera at the back. Sony Xperia SP accommodates a 4.6 inch 720p display with the PPI of 319. The screen is also backed with Sony's Bravia Engine 2, which is known to bring down noise in saturated colors. The Bravia engine is great for video playback and makes viewing media on your phone very pleasing to the eyes. Screen protection is also reassuring to have these days when smartphones are only becoming more and more a part of our lives. The Sony Xperia SP comes with the Gorilla Glass for protection. Offering you a decent amount of screen protection is also a tick in my box, and the Sony Xperia SP is not lacking in that department. So overall the display is pretty good considering this phone to be mid-range, and a 4.6 inch is a very nice size for someone who's looking for a nice size screen on a smartphone, not too big but at the same time not too small. The Moto G accommodates a 4.5 inch 720p display with the PPI of 326. It does not offer you any type of technology behind the display like the Bravia engine which you find on the SP, but it does offer you more protection. It's actually using a more up-to-date version of the Gorilla Glass which you find on the SP, and it's offering you the Gorilla Glass 3. Yes, the same Gorilla Glass which you find on a range of high-end phones out there is the same Gorilla Glass you find on the Moto G. Now saying that guys, both phones are pretty much the same. When you're looking at both phones face on, the main difference you're going to see between them is that the Moto G is a little bit more saturated in colors over the Sony Xperia SP, and I think that's Sony's philosophy. That's what they're about. They don't like the screen to be too oversaturated, so that's the main difference you're going to see with the screens on both of these phones. And as I said, the Moto G does offer you more protection, so if you're someone who tends to drop their phone a lot, I'll probably go for the Moto G. But if you're someone who does not drop their phone all the time and want good technology behind the display itself, I'll probably go for the Sony Xperia SP. But let me know what you guys would go for, and let me know the reasons why. Now, even though both phones are placed in the mid-range class, there's no exception for not having a decent processor, GPU and enough RAM for multitasking. Let's take a look at the performance. The Sony Xperia SP has one of the best dual-core processors out. It features the Qualcomm Crate dual-core processor clocked in at 1.7 GHz with 1.5 GB of RAM for multitasking. The 1.5 GB of RAM will also allow you to get a smooth experience when opening and switching between your favorite apps. The SP is also configured for gaming and graphics. It's running the Adreno 320 GPU, which is one of the best you're going to find out there for mobile gaming. Next in line is the Moto G. The Moto G is not only popular for its price tag, but also of what you get under the hood. The Moto G has one of the best quad-core processors that you're going to find in the mid-range line. Under the hood, you're going to find the quad-core Snapdragon 400 processor clocked in at 1.2 with 1 GB of RAM on board for overall good experience when navigating around the phone. For gaming, it's also running Adreno, but not the Adreno 320, but instead the Adreno 305, so gaming and graphics will slightly be better on the SP. With the above features on board, both phones will require a stable OS to run on. Both phones are running Android, of course. The SP is still running on Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean and will be upgradable in the first quarter of 2013 to KitKat. The Moto G, being a Google made phone, is running slightly more up-to-date version, not KitKat but Jelly Bean 4.3, and to be honest, the Moto G is a Google phone, so I was actually expecting it to come out with KitKat 4.4, but we should be seeing that on the Motorola G shortly. So it's very much safe to say that both of these phones are amongst the best you're going to find out there in the mid-range line of performance. Both phones were put to the test using the Antutu benchmark, and surprisingly, the Sony Xperia SP came out like a boss. As you guys can see for yourself, it came out higher than the quad-core processor which you find in the Motorola G, but maybe it was a one-off. Let me know what you guys think of both of these phones in terms of performance as well. Leave all of your comments and stuff in the comment section. The camera is where the SP is superior. It houses a 8 megapixel rear shooter which accommodates a very decent amount of filters and effects which you can find on the likes of the Xperia Z and the Xperia Z1. One of those features is the Superior Auto Mode. Superior Auto Mode automatically configures the settings of the camera to the type of scenes you are trying to capture. This is very good for someone who is not too into photography or not too confident with the manual controls of the phone. The SP, being a mid-range device, also offers image and video stabilization. This is very important if you're like me and you don't have steady hands. The Xperia SP 8 megapixel shooter also records in full HD, that's 1920 by 1080p. The only letdown I found with the camera is with the front facing camera. It's only a VGA shooter, so for someone like me who loves taking selfies for Instagram, it's a bit of a letdown. Saying that though, you do get a decent photo out of the front facing camera, but it could be improved. The Moto G features a 5 megapixel shooter which is very decent for the average camera user. It does offer a good amount of effects and filters, but in a more simple layout. It offers features such as HDR, geotagging and panorama effect. The camera is very decent, as I said, not the best you're going to find out there, but when you look at the overall pros of the Moto G, for me, it does compensate for the camera. Video recording filmed at 720p and the front facing camera is more of an improvement over the SP. It's a 1.3 megapixel camera which will give you more detailed photos when you're taking selfies, or even if you're using apps like Skype on your phone. And last but not least, let's have a look at the battery and the internal storage. So in terms of the battery, the Sony Xperia SP has a 2300 milliamp battery, which is a very good size for mid-range phones. You normally find these size of battery in high-end phones, but for the Sony Xperia SP to have this, that's a thumbs up. The Moto G is not too far from the SP. It's rocking a 2100 milliamp battery, which again is higher than a few high-end phones out there right now. So in terms of the battery department, both of these phones are very good. Internal storage, the Moto G comes in two variants. It comes in a 8 gig model and it comes in a 16 gig model with no expandable storage available. The Sony Xperia SP only comes in an 8 gig model, but you can also expand the storage using a micro SD card. Let me know which one you guys will choose in terms of performance, in terms of the camera, in terms of the overall design. Let me know which one you would prefer overall. Yes, the Motorola is going to cost you around, say, £60 less than the SP, but is the SP worth that extra £60? Let me know what you guys think. Please ensure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on G+, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.